Hi everyone, I'm back. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to start this talk by washing my hands because I can't do that enough, right? It's one way that we can stay safe when we are moving about in the world. We do it before we leave for the day, we do it in the middle of the day, or anytime on our way back home, as well as some of the other things I outlined in a prior video. Now, let's say I'm shopping. We're going to talk about shopping today. We talked a little bit about strategy and learning about conditions that are favorable to you and conditions that are favorable to the virus. But a lot of people would like to know, what do I do with those groceries when I get home? Like, do I have to sanitize my whole house? Do I have to put stuff in bleach? What do I have to do? So I have some simple steps that I follow. First, touching anything at the grocery store in and of itself is perfectly fine. I use my bare hands. I do not use gloves when I go shopping because to me, that's another thing that I have to keep track of. And I'm already trying to keep track of a lot of stuff. What I do, however, is I try to be very mindful not to touch my face because remember, the virus can go from either droplets that we inhale in or from touching a surface that has virus on it and introducing it to our face. So I'm going to try very hard not to touch my face. If I'm wearing a mask, that's pretty easy because most of my face is covered. Then I just have to be really careful not to touch my eyes. But when I am purchasing items and putting them in my cart, I just have to be aware, I'm pushing a cart that other people might have touched, and I'm holding a basket that other people might have touched. I'm holding objects that other people might have touched. When I get home, the first thing that I do is I wash my hands. Before I put my groceries away, before I take my mask off, I wash my hands. That way I'm starting at least with clean hands. I then remove my mask in my designated place, and then I go about putting my groceries away. What groceries should I wipe down? Well, my feeling is that things that are going to go directly from someone's hands, bare hands, or even gloved hands, into my mouth, I'm going to rinse off. So that's typically going to be drinks in a can where I can wipe that off before I drink it. I don't have to do it all after I get home. I just need to do it at the time that I use it. But you might want to do it as soon as you get home, depending on the conditions of the people that you live with. So cans, surfaces of cans, where there's going to be a high touch, high contact time between my fingers and my mouth, or that surface being a part of it. The other area is fruits or vegetables that have been directly handled with lots of fingers, where those things are going right into my mouth. So, for instance, loose grapes that are not in a bag. I'm going to wash those grapes, and before I eat, I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to wash my hands every time before I eat or drink. It sounds crazy, but it's really important in this circumstance, and just in general, it's a good hygiene practice to try to keep your hands clean. So those things are probably most important. Things that are in cans that I have to open with a can opener, less consequential, right? Because the insides haven't really been touched by the virus, and after I handle that object, I should wash my hands. I don't have to wash every object. I should just wash my hands. It's a lot easier to remember that than remember, did I wash the can? And then if I touch the can again, I still have to wash my hands. So I think it's just easier for me to remember to wash my hands, right? So that's grocery shopping. It's not that complicated, and it doesn't have to be loaded. Now, many people worry about whether or not they should be using gloves. And as I mentioned before, gloves to me have a special role in certain settings. So, gloves are very useful in a hospital where we have to worry not only about viruses, but we have to worry about bacteria and we have to worry about other transmission of what we call contact uh, contact bacteria and viruses, things that spread by touch. And where I'm moving very quickly from patient to patient, wearing gloves, washing before and after using those gloves is very important. And it's very easy in a hospital to do that because there's a box of gloves very frequently. There's lots of ways to wash my hands very frequently. Out in the real world, it's not so easy. To carry gloves is not so easy, and then the gloves can get just as contaminated as your fingers, and then you have to start washing your gloves. Okay, while you're out there in the world, when they're contaminated, maybe you can change it, but what are you going to do with contaminated gloves? Are you going to try to find a garbage can? Are you going to put contaminated gloves in your purse or your backpack? So to me, wearing gloves in the world outside the hospital is extra work. For some people feel that wearing gloves reminds them not to touch their face, and there may be an advantage to that. But you have to remember that anything you touch in the world with your bare fingers that could have coronavirus, that coronavirus can also be on your gloves and can also pose a risk to you just in the way your bare hands can. So I try to keep it really simple. I don't use gloves in the regular world. I am just very, very strict about hand washing and trying not to touch my face. Okay, so that's a little bit about gloves and a little bit about groceries. I'm going to do a few more sessions on a few more circumstances. Okay, so I'll see you soon.